three kind of things I want to do. I think you're already on board. You're here. That's why you've taken the time on a Wednesday night to hang out. But I do think it's important still that we understand maybe the gravity and opportunity we have in front of us, because it's a big opportunity. So first off, Alethia, if you don't know, the word Alethia is the Greek word for truth. And Wednesday nights, we want them to be just a place, obviously, that is focused on the truth in all aspects. So you've got passages like John 8, where Jesus says, you'll know the truth, and the truth will make you free. On our student guides and family guides, that's like literally the first verse. And then we have a verse from 1 John about walking in the light. And if you're not walking in the light, you don't know the truth. So we want our kids to be kids that are people of truth, lifelong people of truth, walking in the truth their whole lives. We want our families to be walking in the same direction in truth. And so Alethia is going to be the name that we're using that's going to kind of just summarize this ministry. You'll notice it says children and families growing together in truth. When we get to the mission of this, you're going to notice we want to align the family and the church, and we want to help families. And some of you have already done your raising, and now you're taking the time to invest in the next generation. We value that. We value your wisdom. And our goal is also going to be to have a lot of parents involved in this. So our goal is like we really want to have the active parents that are bringing their kids to be involved every Wednesday night, not sitting on the sidelines hanging out, but actively participating. So we've really tried to make that emphasis the last 2 weeks, especially this Sunday, and we're going to be doing that in the future. So a few things about why. Let's start with the why. First off, we like to talk about in ministry the 4 to 14 window. Now we're actually going through 18, and we're even going higher because we're going after the parents with Alethia too. But the 4 to 14 window is the most moldable time in a student's life. And we all know what happens as those teenage years creep in. Things start to change a little bit. So this is the area of time when we can form and we can shape kids. And we want to be intentional about the 4 to 14 windows. So that's when Alethia starts for. And our main groups are kind of going to 14, and then there's a senior high as well that's going to be also involved in that. Now, Henrietta Mears wrote this many years ago, and I thought it was very helpful. And I've saved this quote because it's important. She said that when you look at most churches, their programming, staff budgets, it appears that children should first become prodigals. Then we're going to put together elaborate programs and events to save them. Meaning we spend a lot of money to reach people way later in life that have made a lot of mistakes, and we spend very little money to invest in today's generation. And we want to flip that. You know, we're really trying as leaders to say, how can we reverse that? Not that we don't care about people who are struggling later in life. That's a big part of our church's ministry. But we want to make sure we are very heavily investing financially, time, resources in these kids and families that God has blessed us with. So here's the question. How many adult problems would be solved if every preschooler who entered our churches feeling like they have a Heavenly Father who loves them? Or if every elementary child knew they could trust in Christ in every area of their lives? That's lordship, right? Or if every high school student knew their place in God's story and they had a lifetime commitment. We're not just trying to get kids that make decisions for Christ and then they walk away from the church and do their thing. We're talking about lifetime followers of Jesus. And that's what that 4 to 14 window is all about. And this is exactly how Jesus describes salvation, that we have to turn and become like little children. It's that faith, it's that trust that we're trying to build and have a culture of together. One of my heroes of evangelism was a man named D.L. Moody, Dwight Moody. Moody served in Chicago. He went all over the country. He went all over Europe sharing the gospel. Really an amazing figure. A big chunk of his ministry was to children. And he made this statement. He said, and he's very unknown today, but really led just hundreds of thousands of people to Christ. And he said, if I could relive my whole life, I would devote my entire ministry to reaching children for God. Because he spent a lot of time in Chicago, in the really rough places of Chicago. And he also served children in a place called Little Hell, Chicago. Imagine growing up in Little Hell. Doesn't that sound like a great location? It was a rough era of Chicago's history. And yet, he said, if I could do it all over again, that's where I would put my emphasis. And then there's this one conversation reported about Moody that's pretty fun. He had come back from a revival, and he had reported to some church group that 2.5 people were saved at the meeting. And one of the adults said, "You mean 2 adults and 1 child?" And Moody said, "No, 2 children and 1 adult, because when you save a child, you save a whole life," right? So I like that. It's a little different kind of outlook on what we're trying to do here in this. Frederick Douglass, you've heard of him, right? Very noted individual in our country's history, said it is much easier to build up a child than fix an adult. And we really think that that's absolutely true. That's the goal. So Alethia is going to be about truth. It's going to be about learning. It's going to be about equipping families, equipping students, but also it's going to be about joy. We want to have a lot of fun. We want this, I want them to have fun from the minute they walk in and they eat something good. I want the kids to be excited to come eat dinner here on Wednesday nights, right? Zechariah 8, the streets will be full of the boys and girls playing. I want them to have joy when they go do game time. And I want them to have joy and know people care about them when they are in the classes and they're with the parents and the leaders meeting together. So that's kind of the why. That's why we're doing this. We really think it matters. So we're going to be investing our church budget in this. There's different ways you can be involved in this. We need people to help with the kitchen and the dinners every Wednesday night. That's a big number one. We need people to help with games. That's a big thing. We need people to help in the classes every week. That's a big thing. We need parents. We need grandparents. We need just people that love kids, love Christ from our church, that are willing to, hey, I'm going to give this time to be in these classes to make a difference. And we're not just talking the littlest. I mean, all the way through senior high. We need more people in there, too. So, be praying about which group would be the right group for you, because we need people in all of these groups to be able to do this. So, that's the why. The what, all right? See, look at that. 1/3 of the way done already, all right? The what. This little booklet here that you have kind of contains the what our goal is, what's going to happen every week. This is basically finalized. So every kid will have one of these, and every family will have one of these. And this is going to be their guide to Wednesday nights for 2024-2025. You'll notice on the back we have the mission statement of Alethia, and I think it's worth just reading it verbatim. Alethia at Klondike exists to help align the church and the family so our children will know, love, and follow Jesus. We want to equip our families so our children will grow in their faith through the study of Scripture and prayer. We want our children to become lifelong disciples of Christ, prepared to make wise choices, build strong relationships, defend their faith, and to be catalysts to change their generation. That's what we want. We have had a team that's been kind of going through these things, and we believe this is the bullseye. You got to know your target. If you're just shooting out there, machine gun fire, we don't know if we're doing anything right. But this is if we can have these components every week, we believe we can have a successful ministry that's worthy of you investing in your Wednesday nights, bringing your family, and hopefully every family of our church, and every parent involved, and grandparents involved, and people that love kids involved. We want everyone, all hands on deck, involved in this. So that's what we're shooting for. So if you'll open up the guide, and you'll come to the time schedule weekly. That's page 1. That's the first thing there. You'll kind of see what a Wednesday night is going to look like. So first off, our goal is to make things easier on everybody. We're starting early. Why are we starting so early? Some churches start their Wednesday nights at 6. Right now we start at 6:30. Why are we starting at 5:30? Because some of the kids need to go to bed at a reasonable hour. We're trying to reach kids as much as parents. Some of the parents would like to go to bed at a more reasonable hour. Some of us would like to try. I don't know what that looks like, but maybe one day, So we want to try to enable that to be the case for all of us. So that's why we're starting at 5:30, and that's why we're providing dinner. Kind of the consensus was that's the thing that stops us from getting to church early. So we want to do that. We also want to have meals that have some healthy components to them, but also things that kids will eat, right? So we probably won't serve Brussels sprouts. I mean, I don't think we're going to get any kids to eat them. I'll eat them. They probably won't. Some of you won't eat them. So it's not going to happen. But we're going to kind of have that healthy medium there. We want to have good meals, and we want to make sure that we have a team that's involved in getting things ready. It's not all going to have to be cooked here every week or anything like that, but we definitely want to make sure we have a team of people that are working every Wednesday night to be involved in that. So that's part one. Number two, we have classes. So if you look at the bottom there, the classes, we have K4 through first grade, 2nd through 5th, 6th through 8th, 9th through 12th. Those are our classes. That's the breakdown. And if we have enough help, which if it was just what I see in the room tonight, we don't have enough help to have any extra classes. Not going to happen. If we have enough help, we may try to add one more class and break it up even a little more. Because we have a lot of kids. I mean, if people buy into this, we're going to have a lot of kids, which I would say should mean we have a lot of parents involved. That would be the goal. But that's kind of what our target is, at least initially. And hopefully, if there's a ton more parents, we may even try to break it up more. But we want to have these 4 groups that are meeting. And so the meal's done. The 4 groups are going to immediately go to classrooms with leaders where they're going to sign the kids in and hear memory verses, review catechism questions, small talk for 10 minutes. Let the kids just kind of, say hi to each other. Get a little of the energy out, right? After about 10 minutes, they're going to come right in here because we want to align the church family and the kids. They're all going to come in. We're going to reserve some of the rows in the fronts here for the kids. What am I kidding? I don't have to reserve the rows in the fronts. No one sits in the front rows anyhow on Wednesday night. So they'll already be open for them, I think maybe 2 people sit on that one normally on Wednesday. That's about it. So literally. So, but yeah, they're going to sit up here and we're going to sing. We're going to worship together for 10 minutes. Prayer and worship. Probably like 3 songs a week. Something like that. And maybe 2, whatever. Something in that nature. Maybe go over something biblically very briefly with the whole church in unity. After that, the kids break up. Remember Zechariah 8, the streets of the city will be full of boys and girls playing. Immediately, the classes go to games. We need people to help with games, right? Some people there may be a few that just help with games on Wednesdays and then they come back in here because of the season they're in life or whatever. But we'll have some game time. And then the most pivotal moment, right, is the kids go back to the classrooms. And that's where they're going to go over different things. So you'll notice group memorization. That's that first section. We're not learning all this in the first 4 months. The classes we're going to have and the teachers are going to have some liberty to say, what's our bullseye? What are we going to try to do? Because the age groups are different. So some groups are going to try to learn the 10 Commandments and the greatest commandments, as that's going to be their memory project for the fall. Some are going to work on the Beatitudes. Hopefully everyone's going to work on the Lord's Prayer. We're all going to be working on the books of the Bible, having them in order. Now, I know that you can just click on your phone, all right? I know that, but it is a good life skill to have. Number 1, to know that they exist. Number 2, to have them in order. And then number 3, if you learn them young, you'll never forget them, right? There's nothing harder than someone coming to Christ at age 40 and having to memorize 66 books by name. And they're weird names. Like, we don't use those names. They're not normal names in life anymore, So I haven't met many Obadiahs. So, unless you're in a Mennonite or Amish community, you probably don't know an Obadiah. So, these are things that are really integral to learn young. So we want to make sure the kids are working on that. We want our kids to know catechisms. So there'll be very simple catechisms. We've got 34 in this book, questions and answers, and just a few minutes reviewing them, just basic doctrine. Who made me? God made me. Why did God make you? For His glory. Little simple things. If you keep turning in the booklet, we have memory verses for the K4 to first grade and the 2nd to 5th grade. So basically, we're going to probably have about 25 lessons in a year. When you think about there's a break, there's probably 1 week a month that we don't have Alethia, and we'll break for the summer. At least at this point, that's the plan. So there's probably realistically about 25 lessons. So there's 25 verses in here. But you're not going to have to memorize them all. I'm assuming the teachers are going to, there's certain ones they're going to push that really go well with the lessons. But if you memorized one every week, and you can give the kids challenges, like, hey, if you can memorize all these, you're going to get whatever. I mean, that's fine. You can give them those incentives. But I would say 1 or 2 a month at least. This is our verses this month. But you want to keep reviewing them. So, for instance, in the 2nd to 5th grade class, 1 Corinthians 3:11, no one can lay a foundation other than that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. That's their first memory verse. They may say that every single week through the whole fall. The more weeks you say it, guess what? The deeper it is in your heart and mind. So we want to review them. So like literally the first probably 10 minutes of class is just reviewing catechism, reviewing memory verses. Then we want to have a component of apologetics in the classes. So what we've done is 2 things. For the 2 youngest classes, we have bought sets of the Answers in Genesis Answers book set. It's a great resource. And unfortunately, they're still not in yet, or you could look at them tonight, but they'll be in, I think, next week. So as an example of the questions that are in here, we want to spend at least 5 minutes a night on questions, the hard questions of apologetics. So for instance, when did time begin? This is book 1. How did God create everything from nothing? Did Adam and Eve have a belly button? Where is the Garden of Eden? Does Genesis 1:1-2 refer to the first day? Why did God make a week 7 days long? Who was Cain's wife? What is evolution? Did God use the same design for humans as for monkeys? All right, just some random questions. There's 7 books, or 8 books. So if you go to book 8, and actually I think there's 9 books, but you go to book 8, why does Satan hate God? Do angels come down to earth? What do the devil and demons look like? If Adam and Eve never sinned, would things still be perfect? These are the really good questions they'll be reviewing. They're not going to get through all 8 books in 1 year. That's why we have 8 books, and we've got many years to teach. So, but we want to make sure every week there's scripture memory. Make it a contest. There, in your leader, you're going to get, for every group, there's going to be a couple copies of a leader's guide. We've got an amazing curriculum. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. It has all these fun ideas like how to make scripture memory fun, games you can play, little things you can do to make a difference. So we want to make sure this is not just rote memory, but it's also memorable. It's fun. We want to do the catechism. I promise you, reading these books, they're so good, and the kids will really be engaged. So just 5 minutes maybe, 10 minutes maybe. The junior and senior high are actually going to be doing a curriculum that's different on it's called Why I'm Still Not an Atheist. It's by an apologist named Frank Turek. It's answering the hard questions that students have. It's not lightweight. So all the teachers in there are going to have a lot of fun on the follow-up. And every kid is going to have, in the older groups, a workbook like this. We've got a bunch of them so that they can follow along, they can work through it, they can discuss it together. It's a big investment, but we believe it's worth the investment to do that. So that's what they'll be doing. The younger 2 kids groups are doing what's called Truth 78. That's the curriculum. It is one of the easiest curriculums I've ever seen, but it is deep and it's solid. One of them is essentially stories. It's very story-based from the Old Testament. If you know who Pastor John Piper is, this is basically the curriculum he and his church created. Very solid Reformed Baptist church. So it's going to be going through the stories of the Old Testament. The other one is very wisdom-based. It's mainly through Proverbs and then pointing Proverbs to Christ in the New Testament and bringing them together. I would love to do that study, even though, it's for youngins, but it's good. Reading through it the book of Proverbs was written for kids, and it's going to connect it to the rest of the Bible. So really, really good curriculums for those groups and really good curriculums for the older kids. There's enough there. Do you remember he established a testimony? He has how many lessons? 100 or something? So the one has 65 lessons. So basically, he established a testimony. 3 years, they could go through that, possibly. And then the other one, is that the bigger one or the shorter one? Okay. Maybe it's a 2-year curriculum, the Proverbs one. So we have a lot of material. And the issue is not to just rush through it all. The issue is to get it here and to make it fun, make it memorable. And it's it gives you ideas. Like every week, it'll tell you, hey, if you want to have an illustration, here's what you need to get. Bring a mop with you because you're going to use a mop. Or, bring 4 tennis balls to class. It's going to give you these little, just simple things that you can do. Another thing we are going to do, if you were in the meeting before, is we are going to align grow groups with our Wednesday nights. So the same things they're going to be memorizing here, at some point here very soon, we're going to make a swap over. So they're doing the same things on Sunday morning memorization-wise. Because we want to align the church and the family. We want everything to work together. And the more repetition, guess what? The more you know it. It's not just about cramming. We don't want to be miles wide and inches deep. So we want to, I like being wide, and it's good to have a lot of info, but we also want to make sure we're getting deep. And the more you say it, the more you think about it and meditate on it, it's deep. And then the last thing in here, of course, is my teachers' names, my fellow students' names, contact info. We're going to have kids write their names on these things. We want the kids to build relationships. I'm assuming that parents that are going to get involved in this are going to be somewhat like-minded. And we want to make sure the kids are developing good friendships and relationships that matter. So we want them to write their fellow kids' names in so they know who each other are. I'm hoping that there's some kids that are just coming Sunday morning who will start coming Wednesday night. And they'll get to meet other kids in the church that love Christ or are on that path. And it will grow in a wonderful way. So that's the what. That's the why and the what. Let me see my time so I'm not babbling too long. Before I go any farther, any questions on the why and the what? All right. So hopefully in your mind right now, before I go to the last point, you're looking at this and you're saying, yeah, the kitchen would be that's my place. Or you're thinking, yeah, K4, K5, that's where, and we need men and women in both. That would be my sweet spot. Or you're thinking, yeah, the neglected middle schoolers. I need to be in there with them. Or Brother Daniel's there saying, come on, say it. 9th to 12th grade. We need help. Senior high needs help. They do. They need help. So hopefully right now you're saying that's where I should be at, right? That's where I should be at. And the Lord's already kind of leading you in that because you need to sign up tonight and tell us what group you want to be in. Because we want to give you curriculum to start looking at. And next week, what we're going to want to do is come back together. And if you said, I want to be in K4, K5 first grade, we want all the K4, K5 first grader teachers to get together and have a powwow and be like, who's teaching what? Who's doing what? Some of you may be like, look, I can't teach the full lesson, but I can read that catechism section every week. And I can be there. And I can do crowd control, right? And some of you may say, I can get out there and do the games, I was hoping, I'm kind of bummed that we don't have a bunch of teenagers here. I was hoping some of the teenagers were going to be here for, hey, I want to help with games. Some of them said they wanted to. So, yeah, Brother Alex has been kind enough to put a whole nice games curriculum together. But he doesn't want to do all the running, so, he'll do some of it. But, we need help. So, pregnant pause. Where are you going to serve? Where do you want to step in? You say, okay, I signed up for K4, K5 first grade, and like a month in, I'm like, yeah, I think I need to be in 2nd to 5th. That's okay. We'll work it out. We'll figure it out. But we just want you to commit to something and jump in, and let's do this together, okay? All right, so the last thing, which I'm not going to belabor the whole thing through, because really I want to get you signed up and then break up a little bit with our remaining time, is this policy and plan guide. This is for everything. Again, we're trying to align everything together. So a few things we do want to talk about, make sure it's explicitly clear. And some of you already heard this, so I'm not going to just say every word, but I want to talk about what is most important. We want to have a safe place for our children, for our families. It's just imperative, right? Sunday morning is open door. The whole world can walk in here That's why we have an emergency response team. And we are the emergency response team. I've got a great email from Miss Adrian that they're going to look at how are they going to help do this on Wednesday night too. They want to actually be engaged on Wednesday night as well. I'm very thankful for that. But we need to do everything we can to have a safe place. Now, I'm not worried. There's no one I'm prying at. I'm not looking at you. I'm really not. I feel we have a very safe church. But we need to have policies because we continue to grow. There's new people coming in. And we want to make sure nothing is taken for granted. There are a few things I think we can, because we're a family, we can start to take certain things for granted, and we don't want to take them for granted. We want to make sure we're all on the same page. That's why we have this. So, to value the safety of our youth, you'll notice it says here we're going to screen all youth workers, number one. We want to have scheduling procedures that have the ratios right. What that means is if there is 20 kids in K4, K5 first grade, and there's only 6 kids in second, third, fourth, fifth, we're moving things around. We're just going to have to, right? Because that's not fair. Because we want to make sure that things are proper. And then have guidelines to protect the students and the leaders. Part of this is not just the students. It's to protect you as an adult. Because we live in a not great world. So we want to make sure everyone's protected. So screening. Not everyone can do this, right? We know who we want leading, but we're going to have to background check. If you're in there with the classroom, you got to get background check. Number one, that's pretty simple. It's just a requirement nowadays. So screening. We want applicants to be in good standing with the church. Members are on path to membership, right? If they are going to be leaders. 18 years of older. Pass the background check, criminal background check. Attend the sessions. That's why we're recording tonight. The people that are watching it, I'm going to give a fun word in a minute or two, and they're going to have to tell me the word. So if they were not, in fact, let's do that right now. What would be a good word to tell them? What do y'all think? You got a good word? How about this? The word is Beelzebub. The word is Beelzebub. They're going to have to find that word. They have to pronounce it properly, too, or they're not allowed to serve, yeah. Because we are not allowing Beelzebub to work in the student ministry of Klondike. Yeah, I got to spell it, too. All right. That's how we'll know they watched this whole thing. So you got to attend the sessions, right? That's important. So, and then, of course, if you're convicted of a felony, child abuse, anything like that, you cannot serve in any of the student ministries. Again, kind of self-explanatory. So, supervision guidelines, very important. Number one, letter A, 2-adult rule. All right? Always 2 adults with kids at any time. That includes the bathrooms. That's the classrooms. We have windows, 2 windows on every classroom. The doors, right? Plus we have the windows outside. I don't care that we have 2 windows, 2 adults at all times. If you show up early and it's 1 adult, you have the kids stand outside in the hallway with you. Or you get another leader, you get another parent. Hey, can you stand in here with me for a few minutes till the second adult comes? We really want to be good about that. Rule of 3, 3 individuals. 1 must be a youth worker. The 2 remaining, no younger than 12 years of age, must be present at all time in the room or enclosed building area during all organized youth activities. And then the rule of permissive windows. If it is necessary for a youth worker to meet with a youth during an organized activity in a private setting, so a kid comes to you, hey, Miss Edwina, could I talk to you about something that happened at school today? So some girl wants to talk to Miss Edwina. She looks up to her, she's a leader, and these good things. The youth worker must receive permission, and the meeting must take place in a room with a window where another youth worker can monitor it at all times, right? So we're not going off somewhere on campus without people knowing. Why? We're protecting you. That's to protect you, the leaders, just as much as the kids. If a female youth is present at an organized youth activity, a female youth worker should be present, right? That's why we need male and female leaders in all the classes. That's important. There should be at least 1 youth worker for every 12 youth at a youth activity. So we want to have at least 2 people in a classroom, because I don't think we're going to have 24 kids in any class. And then during activities, the leaders should always know where their kids are. Pretty self-explanatory. Restrooms, same thing. This is like, okay, do I have to say this? I have to say it. Males must use men's restrooms. Females must use females' restrooms. I don't have to say it because I'm worried about our church, but we're saying it out loud because it's part of the training. And youth workers, this is more important for us, should not be alone with a youth in the restroom for any reason. Always 2 or more youth workers. So let the kids go in and shut the door. And if they need help, find someone else. Don't go in by yourself. That's the key. All right. Arrival and departure. 2 youth workers present to welcome the youth when they arrive. 2 youth workers remain until the last one is picked up. If a youth leaves an event without permission, parents should be called immediately. That's junior and senior high, right? Hey, my friend Billy Bob he's coming to pick me up tonight. Okay, I don't care. You're not leaving. Well, I am leaving. Okay, well, guess what? I'm calling your mom right now and your dad, right? That's not happening. We're just, and you can't come back. You can't just leave. We're not allowing that for any of our kids. They've got to stay. If mom and dad call up and say, hey, so-and-so's picking my student up tonight, that's fine. But outside that, no. All right. Youth to youth worker interaction. Youth workers must not speak to youth harshly, not in any kind of sexually suggestive manner. They must abide by the physical touch policy and electronic communication policy. So here's the thing. You can totally ruin a kid's experience if you discipline them like they're your children. So you know that old adage, you know what? You treat your kids, treat my son just like he's yours. Don't. I don't care what the parent says. Don't do it, right? You can't administer corporal punishment to any kid here in this church. In fact, I wouldn't recommend you doing that to your kids here in this church unless you find a quiet place somewhere where not everyone's watching, right? I would not recommend that. And I definitely would say, we don't want to be harsh because you can ruin a kid's experience. If you're getting frustrated, you know what you need to do? Look to your fellow leader and say, could you please handle this? I can't handle this. And let them deal with it. And you get to go calm down, right? And relax. That's a better idea. And deal with the kids that aren't pushing your buttons. I'm not expecting to have that. I'm just saying, just remember, you can also undo everything we did in one night with a bad attitude and frustration. And it's happened in many, many churches. So I've had to tell youth leaders, you're not a youth leader anymore because you acted like an idiot. So I don't want to ever have that conversation with anyone. Let's not scream at the kids. We believe in grace, but we do not believe that anyone has a right to do that to any of the kids in the church. So if there's a problem, all you got to do, come get someone who's calm or talk to their parents afterwards and let the parents know. I would recommend another leader present, always. Okay. Youth-to-youth interaction. Youth can't separate themselves. This is important, especially during game time. We have some youth that think that they're just going to go walk off and do their own thing. They're not going to go do their own thing. They're going to be involved, okay? If they're hurt, injured, something, they can sit right there and watch. But they're not just wandering away to go do their own little thing while everyone else is doing their thing. This is about unity and relationships too. So youth workers must be there, and they're not allowed to do that. Youth cannot engage in verbal, emotional, or physical abuse of one another or speech that is detrimental to one another. If you fail to abide by this, you're sent home. Number 3, physical touch policy. Letter C. There's youth to youth, and there's youth to youth worker. So appropriate physical contact with youth is an effective means of aiding in communication. So some of the best physical youth contacts are this. High five, right? Fist bump. Those are my go-tos, right? High five, fist bump. That's what I try. Now, there's some kids that just love you, and it's awesome, like they do. And they come running, and they come running to hug you. So physical youth contact. Number 1, before I read the guidelines, this is the 2 things I recommend. Number 1, all right, the famous Christian side hug. It works really good, Give them the side hug when they come in. But what if it's a younger kid? Because you can't side hug this, right? They're like 36 inches. I can't do the side hug. But you can come down to their level always and give the side hug. That's what I do. Now, there are kids that are going to rush you, and you're in a conversation, and they're just going to bear hug you. And that's fine, but still turn to the best of your ability. I'm just telling you it's for your protection and everyone's protection. And no one's going to judge you. It happened. I'm the pastor of the church. I wrote these rules, and literally we wrote the rules. And the Sunday that we had first talked about this as a team, 2 little girls in the church came running at me, and literally as I turned around, they collided like a tractor trailer into me to give me these big hugs. And I'm like, I'm breaking the rules. I just wrote these rules, and I'm breaking them. Side hug, I tried. But if I would have side hugged, I might have judo through the one. I mean, she was just like, so you just do your best. But we don't want a habit of other kind of contact. We want to do our best to do these things and these things, right? Just we're being wise. So here we go. What should not happen ever? Roughhousing, wrestling, shoulder or piggyback rides, rubbing, massaging, sitting on laps, any other physical activity that requires extended periods of contact. Hear that? No extended periods of contact. Just that simple. Youth workers may touch in safe areas. High five, fist bump. All right, hands, pat on the back, pat on the arm or shoulder. That's okay. Never touch a youth on or near any region that is private or personal. That includes their bottom, okay? Because I don't know why. I've had some youth interns at the church over the years, and they thought it was okay, like outside playing basketball, to just go whack a youth on the butt, all right? Bad idea. Bad idea. Don't do that. Foolish. I know, okay, that was fine in the good old boy days. We're not in the good old boy days anymore. And I don't know it was really fine then, but, you didn't go to jail over it. Don't do it. Follow these guidelines. Take it very seriously. All right. Female youth workers may briefly hug female youth. Only brief hugs from the side are permitted for male to female, however, and only in public places where others are present. So, yes, some of the older girls are going to come, and they may get you from the front. We get it. But, guys, there is no exception. There is no reason why any gentleman who has a female youth that is their height should ever have this going on. I don't care who they are. You need to get better reflexes if you can't defend yourself from that, because they're not little kids running at you from nowhere and you can't see their angle and they're getting you. No front hugs, guys to gals, youth, period, 0 zip. Youth workers may never touch youth out of frustration or anger. No physical discipline. Got to say it. You think we'd all get that? I think we all get that here. I'm not worried, but I want to make sure I say it out loud. And then youth to youth. No inappropriate touching of any kind, including extended hugging, kissing, roughhousing, wrestling, shoulder or piggyback rides, rubbing, massaging, sitting on laps, any other physical activity that requires periods of physical contact. No fighting, period. Youth participating in violent action will be dismissed and placed into their parents' care. No boyfriends and girlfriends at Klondike Church on Wednesday nights or Sundays. Just no, all right? If you allow that as a parent, right, that's fine. Not here. So we're not having guys and gals holding hands in 6th grade or in 9th grade and walking around the church. They're not sitting next to each other, for that reason. If they do, I always move them. They don't like me. I mean, they know. They think I have 4 eyes. I do, I guess. But they think I have 6. Because whenever that happens, I'm like, move your chair. I give them the look of death. If it doesn't work, I tell them to move. So we're not having that. It's drama. I'm not insinuating that people are going to get physically inappropriate. It causes drama. So if you're in that 6th through 12th grade bracket, I pray to the Lord we don't have 3rd graders saying they're dating, right? But, it's 2024. But, 6th to 12th grade bracket, no dating here at church. We're not doing that. We're not getting sidetracked with that. We're staying on point. We have a mission. That's not the mission. So, all right, next one's important. Electronic communication. All right, one of the points on here, I really want to summarize. I know we're about out of time. One of the points on here is no cell phones, period. Zip, nada. So, if your kids have cell phones on them in your classes, which they may, they will stay in their pockets or in their bags. We're not having kids texting during church. We're not having them, watching YouTube videos. It's not cute. It's a distraction. So no technology in the classrooms while class is going on. Now, that means leaders try to be good examples. I know it's hard, but don't be checking your Facebook in the middle of your Bible study with the kids, please. That would be a bad idea. All right, don't do that. All right, and then a few things here. We do not want youth. I'm just going to summarize a few of these. I'm not going to read every point, but number one, youth workers, do not be posting kids online, because not all parents want their kids online. So do not post pictures of children from your class online, number one. Number two, do not transmit any content that is inappropriate with youth. So don't text your youth weird things. Don't send them weird things. Don't Instagram them weird things. All right? Youth may not do the same with other youth or with youth workers. If we find out about it, I need to know. I will speak to them and tell them to knock it off. Or if it's an adult to a child, that's another problem, right? But I mean kids to kids. All right, number three, if you're a youth worker, the youth worker must save all electronic communication with youth. All right, this is important. There may be a reason why you do text the youth, especially those like 6th to 12th graders. But here's the rule. If you're texting the youth, include the parent. Don't text the youth by themselves. Hey, guys, we have an ice cream party this week in our class. All right? If you text the whole group of the youth, that's fine. If they, you're in the senior high or something. But if there's certain youth you're trying to contact, include the parent in the thread. That's just a simple way to not have these problems, okay? And you have to save the messages. So it's no, he said, she said, you deleted the messages, now we don't have them anymore. If you become aware of any abuse through electronic media, you must notify the church leadership immediately. That's it. All right, last thing, dress code. Dress code. We want to present ourselves well, so attire should be clean, well-maintained, no explicit images or language. Christian messages are great. We're not, we don't want like secular bands, non-Christian stuff that's not good as leaders promoting that to the kids, right? Everyone has different standards in life. We get all that, but we want to make sure we're presenting ourselves kind of in a uniform way like this. Clothes should be modest and respectful. No styles that are distracting, that are dark, have negative connotations. Clothing that's respectful and positive. Modest shirts covering the shoulders. No low spaghetti straps or midriffs showing shirts. Jewelry other than necklace, watch, or earrings, rings should not be worn. Be groomed, right? Be groomed. That's the next thing there. Be groomed. Don't let your grooming impair your ability to serve. It's kind of common sense stuff. It needs to be said. All right. And if you violate these things, unfortunately, we have to remove you. You can't serve. I hate to have to go through all that, but that's the world we live in. It's important to say. Any questions at all about this? So the second word is Jericho. There's two words, so Beelzebub and Jericho. Now I know they've really listened to the whole thing. They're going to be so upset if they shut it off after Beelzebub and then they see there's two words. So, yeah. So what we need you to do, you signed up when you came in here tonight, right? So what I will do now, hey, look at that. We're at 1 hour, and we started 10 minutes late. That's great. So, we really didn't even go an hour. We only went 50 minutes. So what I need you to do now is say, okay, I think this is where I want to serve at. And I'm just curious, like I'm going to do an informal poll. Well, it's kind of formal, actually. I'm binding you. You're bound. All right. Who would think in this room, K4 to first grade, would kind of be that's my wheelhouse? I'm just curious. Look at all the 0 leaders for K4 to first grade. Shame on you. I'm just kidding. How about 2nd to 5th grade? Who thinks like, yeah, that's my zone? Okay. Good. Who thinks 6th to 8th grade? Junior high. Okay. Got a couple. And then who would think 9th to 12th grade? Nice. All right. So, we definitely need some help in K4 to first grade. How about kitchen? Friend Bruce is here to help us with that. Any other kitchen people tonight? 2? Shirley, okay, good. All right, and then Miss Priscilla has been so kind to jump on the music, and she's got, I didn't even mention this in the little guide. It's pretty cool. If you go to the back, I'm going to try to figure out how to do this. On the way back, we have Alethia Worship 2024, 2025. She put this great list of stuff together. I'm going to figure out how to make a Spotify playlist for it to the best of my ability that we can send out to all the families so you can listen to this stuff during the week and in your home. Again, trying to align the family in the home. So she's going to be handling music. I'm curious if anyone may want to help her. Yay. I'm sorry? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that'd be good. Okay. He's of the right age to know how to do that. Yes, thank you. So here's what I want to do. If you think you could help with kitchen or your spouse is going to help with kitchen, I want to get you on here, sign up. If you think you're the 2nd to 5th grade group, please sign up. If you're 6th to 8th, please sign up. If you're 9th to 12th, please sign up. And then, ready? We're going to come up here, and if you're the 2nd to 5th grade, my wife has got some books for you guys. And I just want you to take here's what I want you to do. Take 5 minutes, talk about it together. Take a look at the book. If you want to take it home, here's the stipulation. Please do not lose the book. It's a lot of work to put. We built these things from scratch, put them all together. All right? It's a lot of work to assemble. Just don't lose it. That's all. You can, I think there's actually enough of us. We could probably all take a copy home and begin looking at it. Because next week we want to come together with our kitchen people and say, here's the plan. And we want to come together with our 2nd to 5th grade and say, here's the plan. And 6th to 8th, here's the plan. 9 to 12, here's the plan, right? So, I lost it. Come up, sign up where you want to be, grab some books, and then let's just spend like 10 minutes kind of talking amongst each other in our groups, and then we'll close in prayer. All right, so come on up. Oh, question, yeah. Yeah. Yes. If you're more than willing to help in more than one area, we'll take it, and then we'll figure it out. All right, so come on up, sign your list here. Let me take this stuff off, and then you can sign your life away. I think there's 2 pages there. Thank you all. And Matt, you can kill the live stream. Thank you, sir.